Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And a very warm welcome to Wednesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. On today's show, we talk about the continuing shift blaming for the disaster in the box office that is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I am embarrassed for Warner Brothers Discovery. I am embarrassed for Zachary Levi. I am embarrassed for Rachel Zegler and the way they're conducting themselves on social media. At the end of the video, please stay tuned as I react to Rachel Zegler accusing me of being obsessed with her. No, sweetheart, I'm into women, not girls. Anyway, let's get started with today's video. One day they're blaming Snyder fans for the failure of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Now they're blaming The Rock. Yes, Humberto Gonzalez and The Rap have done an exclusive interview talking about how The Rock blocked the JSA post-credit scene in Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Let's not get it twisted here. That would have been brilliant to see Hawkman and the other cast members in that post-credit scene. But it doesn't save this movie. It doesn't change anything. But we call this article an exclusive. There's no DC fan that doesn't know that The Rock had hijacked the Shazam universe. That every final say with everything that happened in that universe was with The Rock. But who gave him the keys to this kingdom? Warner Brothers Discovery. Well, not Warner Brothers Discovery. Discovery weren't in charge, to be fair to them, when this shit show happened. But the people who gave him the power to do this are still there, hiding in plain sight. Something that people are not talking about is the person who produced both Shazam movies and the current co-CEO of DC Studios, Peter Safran. Why isn't he being blamed for anything? So, if he was involved with the old DCEU, what's going to change here? He's been involved with the DCEU ever since Walter Hamada became DC Films president. Let's look at those films. So Aquaman made $1 billion. Shazam didn't even make $400 million. We're talking about the first film. Birds of Prey flopped. Suicide Squad, which he produced, directed by James Gunn, written and directed by James Gunn, was also a flop. Wonder Woman 84, all these movies flopped. The whole, apart from one Aquaman movie, every single DCEU movie since Walter Hamada and Peter Safran were involved literally flopped, right? Or didn't make a lot of money. Why isn't anyone talking about that? So how are we going to get a brilliant reboot and a brand new universe when the co-CEO of DC Studios was actually the person running this thing with Walter Hamada? It's interesting, isn't it? So even worse is that Zachary Levi confirms that The Rock put a block on the JSA characters from Black Adam being in a post-credit scene. This is vengeful. This is vengeful shift blaming by Zachary Levi, Warner Brothers Discovery, and the rest of the people involved in this. This is embarrassing when you're constantly shifting the blame for your own failure. Zachary Levi and Warner Brothers Discovery have made The Rock a target on social media. Zachary Levi continues to talk about compassion and kindness and listening to all voices, even the ones who don't like him, talking about not muting and blocking and allowing people to talk to him. But the problem is here, this is bad. He's made The Rock a target. My opinion on The Rock's involvement is that it was bad. It killed the Shazam universe. He wanted to separate Black Adam and Shazam into two different things. He never wanted them to interconnect. Now, you can say that was right or wrong. I have two views on this. I think, the constant kind of crossover thing, maybe The Rock was thinking, let's make our own two separate movies. And maybe in the future have like Black Adam and Shazam fight ultimately in the final movie, whenever that was going to be. That's what he used to say. But ultimately, Black Adam failed. Black Adam was a movie nobody asked for. He's a simple Shazam villain. So yes, The Rock was wrong. The Rock was wrong. Let's be clear. Blocking a post-credit scene, blocking a Shazam crossover. Now, this article by Umberto claims that things became so toxic and fraught within this situation that the studio got Zachary Levi to try and speak to The Rock about this situation. And I'll quote you the article and words from Umberto. The Rock ate Zachary Levi alive. It kind of sounds like a movie on Pornhub rather than an argument between two actors. And when I call The Rock an actor, I'm using those words loosely. Now, this has divided the fan base, as everything divides our fan base these days. Some people defending The Rock for being the only person to bring back Henry Cavill's Superman, but he only did it to save his own shit. Now, I'm not going to sit here defending The Rock and his decisions. I'm not going to do that. He was problematic. His leadership within the Shazam universe was problematic. There's no question about that. But shifting the blame to him publicly is the worst thing anyone could do, because it's not his fault the Shazam movie wasn't successful. That's Warner Brothers' fault for breaking the DC brand, as I keep on constantly saying. So putting it out there that it was The Rock who blocked these post-credit scenes, it was The Rock that created problems for the Shazam movie, isn't fair, and it isn't accurate to the truth. Yes, his decision to separate both characters was dumb, but Warner Brothers' decision to allow The Rock to play Black Adam in the first place was dumb. Because what you do, you allow this big reputation, this big ego to make decisions, and clearly he's a very arrogant guy. But most people in New Hollywood today are very arrogant people. We'll talk about Rachel Zegler later on, and she's an extremely arrogant young woman. But the point being here, that this is an embarrassing situation. It's an embarrassing situation because they're shift blaming. 1 minute it's the fans' fault, then it's The Rock's fault, and it's embarrassing. Your movie's failed. Shut the fuck up. They're attacking fans for criticizing them. Shut the fuck up. 1 minute, the Snyder are a vocal minority. The other moment, they're to blame for the failure of Shazam! Fury of the Gods and the DC brand because they're boycotting it. Well, make up your fucking minds. Either they're powerful or they're just a vocal minority. Make your minds up. James Gunn has gone down this line as well, calling them a vocal minority. Everyone calls them a vocal minority, but tries to blame them. It's not the Snyderverse fans' fault that Shazam! Fury of the Gods failed. It's not The Rock's fault, really, that Shazam! Fury of the Gods failed. You were given a movie. You wrote a script. And people didn't go and see your movie. And the point here is not that Shazam! Fury of the Gods is a bad movie. Jesus Christ, I've gone to see this film 4 times. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a good movie. Nothing special, but I thought it was a solid DC movie. The point is not in the quality of the movie. Now, some critics have said they didn't enjoy the second one like they enjoyed the first one. It's an interesting thing. Some people have criticised the villains, Lucy Liu and Dame Helen Mirren, being, not that good. Not blaming the actors themselves, but blaming the writing for the actors. They're not the greatest villains. There's no question, but I've said it before, that Mr. Mind and Savannah should have played a more prominent role in this movie. They'd already built up Savannah. But let's talk about the constant excuses from David F. Sandberg for not using, then he says something like this: oh, we didn't use Black Adam because we already had Savannah, who had powers and flew. What a dumb excuse that is. But then they start blaming The Rock for not wanting to be involved with Shazam, not wanting to have a crossover with Shazam, blocking a JSA post-credit scene. Basically, their inconsistencies are there for everyone to see. So 1 minute they say one thing, then they say the other. And for me, Humberto Gonzalez and The Wrap have definitely been put up to this by Warner Brothers Discovery themselves. And it's embarrassing. You can't shift the blame. But you know what's even more embarrassing? That everyone has seen through this. Has seen through the blaming of the Snyderverse fans. The blaming of The Rock. Making him a target on social media. And that's the situation here. It's embarrassing. It's a bad tactic. It's easily exposed. We know what you're doing, and your movie failed, right? Black Adam failed. Shazam! Fury of the Gods failed. But at least when Black Adam failed, The Rock wasn't blaming anyone. The Rock kept his mouth shut. Because this is how good industry professionals behave. Grace Caroline Curry, Asher Angel, Jack Dylan Grazer have not been attacking the fans. They've been very sweet and respectful. But Zachary Levi and David F. Sandberg and Rachel Zegler, getting into it with the fans, blaming this, blaming that. It was a good movie. Go and see it. You're saying it's a good movie because you made the movie. You were in the movie. You're biased. Look, it's difficult. People make a film. They work hard on it for a couple of years. And then people are talking shit about it. And it fails. It hurts. I understand it. But this is the material of the industry. You're going to stand there, do something. You're either going to entertain someone or you're not. And if you don't, if your project doesn't work, then you've got to take it on the chin. Like a good boxer, like a good fighter. But instead, the studio and some of the people who worked on this movie have decided to act like a bunch of bad bouncers on a cold Thursday night saying, not tonight, son. The bullying tactics, the arguing with fans, the arrogance towards fans, working class people who pay their money. I know people who will not buy a loaf of bread, who will buy a loaf of bread less a month, and just to save that $20 to go and see a movie. So these people have every right to an opinion. Just because you don't like that opinion, that's your problem. If you're not strong enough to handle criticism, any criticism, you shouldn't be in this industry. But I'm not surprised they're trying to blame The Rock. I'm not surprised that it's Humberto Gonzalez and The Wrap, but this is not an exclusive. We understood the situation with The Rock. Do I think The Rock was right to conduct himself in that way? No. He took his shot. He reckons he put his best foot forward. I disagree, but he did what he did. He took the decisions he wanted to make. He wanted to star in a Black Adam movie via his fandom for the character and his arrogance, and ultimately it didn't work out. And he kept his mouth shut. He shut the fuck up when people were shitting on his movie. He didn't criticize people. He launched a beautiful marketing campaign. Some of that, the money for that actually came from his production company, not just Warner Brothers. But it was huge. It didn't work. He didn't blame anyone for this situation. And the consequences for that was that we also lost Henry Cavill's Superman because The Rock pulled Henry down with him to uplift his own movie. But at least we saw Henry. At least there was a bit of excitement seeing Henry back. And then Henry announces he's back as Superman, which he wasn't. So every time we get a release of a DC Extended Universe movie, there's more toxicity. There's more arguments. There's more division. They keep on talking about toxic fandom, modern day divisive fandom. But it's not the fans who leaked Wonder Woman in a TV spot for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's not the fans who was winking during interviews when he was asked if Superman was going to be in his movie. These are the desperate acts of desperate people. Who's to blame for all of this? Warner Brothers Discovery, The Rock, all of them. Peter Safran, who produced two middling Shazam movies that are basically, the quality of television movies. Let's be absolutely clear about that. They're to blame. The studio should hold their hands up. I mean, ultimately, say if everyone has really been fired, right, who ran the DCEU and ran the old WB before Discovery came on, why are they defending this movie so much if it had nothing to do with them? Because the people who were running WB then are secretly running WB now in plain sight. And as I keep on saying, nothing has actually changed. And it's so embarrassing, it's so cringe that they're desperately trying to shift the blame to the Snyder fans, to The Rock. Who will it be? Lee Harvey Oswald? Was it the grassy knoll? Jesus Christ, your movie failed. People are not going to go and see it. God knows how big the drop-off is going to be. It's embarrassing. Your movie failed. You've had your pants pulled down by your ankles. That's it. It hurts. I understand it hurts. That's life. As you all know, I write, direct, produce and star in my own plays, and I always implore my actors and the people who work on the plays with me. If people tell you that you're shit, if people tell you the plays are shit, take it on the chin. Do not respond on social media. Allow paying customers to have their say. Of course it hurts when people tell me my creativity is bad, my acting is bad, my work is rubbish. But then sometimes they tell me that they'll love one play and they'll hate another. But that's okay, because it helps me to become better. Criticism by our consumer helps us to become better. I've improved this channel since 2018 because people gave me advice. You, the subscribers, said the picture's shit. Your camera's shit. I bought a digital camera. I can't afford to buy a more expensive digital camera. It's not the best, right? It's an HD camera, not a digital camera, should I say. So it's a better picture than we had before. When I did live videos at night time with the camera that was built into this laptop, it was black and white. So I bought a cheap HD camera because you, the fans, asked me to, right? Not the fans, the subscribers. The subscribers. I don't have any fans, right? But I'm just making a point. I listened. Now, I'm sorry if the technical quality of the channel isn't as good as you expect it from other high-profile YouTubers. But at the moment, with the channel not doing so well, and, it hasn't broke, we haven't become very successful, I can't afford any better equipment. But I always listen. It's always important to listen to our critics. And this is the opposite of New Hollywood. Instead of coming out and saying, we'll do better in the future. And where's James Gunn? Where's James Gunn? He's hiding in a corner. Where's the great defender who was posting posters of Shazam! Fury of the Gods, was, posting pictures of himself at the premiere of Shazam! Fury of the Gods? Where is he? Where is Peter Safran, the man who justified David Zaslav's decision to shelve Batgirl? Where are you, Peter? The new CEO of DC Studios, the man who produced both these middling Shazam movies, right? This is New Hollywood, everyone. They've sent their stormtroopers to make their excuses for them. And their actors and their director are getting shit because they've been disingenuous. As I said yesterday, David F. Sandberg going, I'm leaving superheroes, I'm going back to horror, blah, blah, blah. It's sour grapes. It's that gif of the little girl kicking her feet and screaming. That's what it is. These are like a bunch of spoiled children who can't get their own way. Zachary Levi, as well as going on a Variety article, I don't know if it's just Variety reporting on it, not only did he officially blame Snyder fans for the failure of the movie, he also blamed bad marketing. But I've explained this. The marketing wasn't bad. Posters were everywhere. I saw them. They had TV spots, they had trailers, they had interviews. Did you really expect them to overspend on marketing when they knew the level of failure this movie was going to bring to the studio? But why have Warner Brothers Discovery held The Rock out to dry? Why have they pushed him under the bus? It's the same situation with Victoria Alonso at Marvel Studios. She's been pushed in front of the bus because of failure. And Kevin Feige gets to keep his job. Although I have made the point that I don't think Feige will be Marvel Studios president by the end of this calendar year. He could even quit because of her firing. Where see, there's been no official response from Marvel Studios or Disney about this. But why are WB Discovery blaming The Rock? They're blaming The Rock because he lost them a hell of a lot of fucking money. Black Adam was a very expensive movie to make. So they're taking it out on him. He was stubborn. He didn't allow this. He didn't allow that. He argued with Zachary Levi when he tried to calm him down. All of that. But ultimately, why are you angry with The Rock? You put him in this very position. You, the studio. And I understand that it wasn't Zaslav and it was other people who are still there, by the way, but they're pretending they're being fired. WB don't actually fire anyone. The only person they fired in the past 10, 15 years is actually Zack Snyder, a highly talented director who's really going to school them very soon with Rebel Moon. And he's still schooling them today in his own skillful way. He's very clever. I love you, Zack. You're a great guy and you're a great director, and I don't care what anyone says. He's not a negative person. He took, when his movies fail, he takes it on the fucking chin. But the behaviour of these people, shift blaming every day. And Zachary Levi, you're a fucking embarrassment, mate. You've been going around like hashtagging Disney. Please give me a job on Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Give me this job. Give me that job. You're a desperado, mate. You're embarrassing, right? You really are. And I loved you in Chuck. I thought you were a great guy. I loved you in Tangled. Great voice performance. But basically exposing The Rock. And look, listen, I know the studio have put you up to this. I know it's all about the studio shifting blame. But I really don't understand why they're shifting the blame to The Rock. No one's falling for this. Nobody believes this. We know what The Rock did. We know The Rock was stubborn. But he isn't the reason this movie failed. WB are the reason this movie failed. Their treatment of Snyder is the reason this movie failed. Bringing in Hamada, a guy who brings things on budget but really doesn't understand about storytelling, and we saw that when he handed all the power for Birds of Prey to Margot Robbie, a woman who knows nothing about producing and delivering a great movie. But she's very good at delivering extremist propaganda movie, which is exactly what Birds of Prey was. So this shift blaming everyone is highly embarrassing, and I'm embarrassed for them. Now let's talk about Miss Rachel Zegler, who was discovered by Steven Spielberg because of her special Hollywood DNA. She's been in a Steven Spielberg musical, flopped. She was in Shazam! Fury of the Gods, flopped. She's everywhere. She has accused me on Twitter of being obsessed with her because I called her a fraud. She was defending the actress who's going to play Ariel in the new live-action version of the new Disney movie, right? What's it called? Forgot. Not Tinkerbell, the other one. Anyway, it's another extremist movie. I called her a fraud, and she goes, "You mention my name everywhere. You're obsessed with me. I'm flattered." I'll tell you something. I don't like Rachel Zegler. I've never liked Rachel Zegler. Why don't I like Rachel Zegler? She's arrogant, she's mean, she's a bully, she talks down to her fans, she talks down to people on Twitter, she's a propaganda merchant, and she's an extremist. She's not humble, and she acts like she's already made it. Her CV is the size of a pea, and she acts like she's already made it. So what does she do? Mention my name so all her Disney friends and celebrity friends could attack me, or at least defend her to me. And I thank you, Rachel, for getting me all those beautiful interactions. My Twitter has never been so jumping in its life. Literally, I was getting a fucking boner as I saw all the interactions coming in. It was beautiful, and I scored every single one of them that went at me. So thank you, Rachel, very much. You are what's wrong with New Hollywood. You have no respect. And, if you think the comments for Shazam! Fury of the Gods are bad, Just wait until your Snow White extremist movie comes out. Because if you can't handle the criticism that you're getting now, you're not going to be able to handle the criticism that you're getting for that movie. I tried supporting you, Rachel. I tried supporting Shazam! Fury of the Gods, but I saw what you were posting constantly. And when the movie failed, you were arguing with fans. You were getting down in the dirt with fans, and it's simply not acceptable. This is not the way a young woman should conduct herself. A very wealthy, successful young woman. I have 10 nieces and nephews, and their age ranges are quite big. But if they ever spoke to anyone in reality or on social media how you talk to people, they would get a dressing down. I would talk to them because I want them to be kind, compassionate people. Now, I'm not saying I'm the kindest, compassionate person in the world. I'm not. I've made a lot of mistakes. I can be rude and arrogant and wrong. I called you a fraud on Twitter, and I should have chosen my words more careful. But you trigger me. Your attitude triggers me. And you are everything that is wrong with this once beautiful industry. That's the problem. Actor Sean Maguire responded to me saying she's a brilliant, talented young woman, and I think she's really brave defending a black woman for being abused for being a black woman. That's not why people are angry with that race bending. People are angry because of the extremism of that casting. They're not attacking the actor. They're attacking the situation, Sean. At the end of the day, let's talk about race-bent acting. Now, I don't agree with it, but Matt Reeves race-bent Selena Kyle, and she was absolutely brilliant. We all celebrated her. She didn't come out with extremist propaganda on social media. She was brilliant. She conducted herself in the same way. The same people who are upset with the upcoming Disney movie casting, race bending and casting a woman of colour in that role are the same people who went and watched The Batman, and no one said a word. From the casting, no one attacked her, no one attacked Matt Reeves for the casting. What happened? We went there to see what we were going to get, and it was brilliant. She's one of the best versions of Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, ever. She's a nice, humble, sweet young woman who doesn't attack the fans and keeps herself to herself. Now, I think she's Jason Momoa's stepdaughter as well. So obviously he helped her get the role. Obviously, right? But she deserved the role. She proved she deserved the role through her performance. And that's how you conduct yourself, Rachel. Be like Zoe Kravitz. Don't be like you. Don't be arrogant. Don't be rude. I don't want to upset people. I don't want to argue with people, but you're rude. You're having a go at fans for having an opinion. You don't like the fact that they don't like the movie that you were in. You can't take criticism, Rachel, and that's the problem. You can't handle criticism. And this is one of the elements of the Shazam! Fury of the Gods blame shifting. And she is one of the number one people for doing it. You are a young actor who's just got involved in the industry, Rachel, and you tried to make me a target by responding to me, but I loved it. I loved the interactions, Rachel, and as I say, I got very, very excited downstairs over those interactions, all those famous people. I mean, Sean Maguire played Aidan in EastEnders. It was an honour for him to respond to me. It was great. So thank you, Rachel, because you don't have the intellect to respond intelligently and have proper discourse with me and a proper exchange of views with me. You went, oh, you're obsessed with me. You've mentioned my name quite a bit. Oh, I'm honoured. And you thought you were going to intimidate me. Good luck with intimidating me. I'm 50 years old. I've been around. I spent 6 months in Hollywood. I know this industry a lot better than you do, Rachel. And when Snow White flops, they're going to toss you at the edge of the curb and leave you there. Just like they did when Steven Spielberg, what's his name? What's the actor's name he hand-picked at that party to play the lead in Transformers? Do you remember him in the first 3, Transformers, I forgot his name. Anyway, what happened when he spoke off script and he didn't do what Spielberg wanted him to do, they basically chucked him on the edge of the curb, left him for dry, and he had to deal with it himself, and then they tried to make it look like he was toxic. Welcome to Hollywood, Rachel. You think you're the bee's knees right now. You think you're cool, attacking fans and paying customers. If someone criticizes you, take it on the chin. Be humble, be polite. You need to change your ways because, as I say, there's a lot of badness coming with your Snow White movie, and you've alienated all the customers, all the fans, all the consumers who would have stood by your side. I would have stood by your side. I would have used my platform to stand by your side. But your rudeness and your arrogance, because clearly you live in an echo chamber where everyone blows smoke up your backside, and you're not used to people actually telling you the way it is. This has been Wednesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.